I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-ma-gob, it's time for the only news that matters. And Stephen Pearcy from RATT goes way back with Van Halen. Before they got their first album, he was friends with them. And they remained friends through the years. And they asked him what Eddie thought of RATT. And he said, you know, I used to pester him all the time saying, let my band perform with you. But he never agreed. However, we finally did it. RATT opened for Van Halen at a festival a few years before his passing. Thank goodness we had that opportunity. I constantly pushed him, saying, let my band open for you. I see you all the time. Forget this. Let's play. Come on, man. But yeah, we actually got to share the stage with the mighty Van Halen, and it was truly amazing. This he's saying a Brave Words, and the Brave Words says, there was a Monsters of Rock tour with Van Halen, well really Vangina, with Sammy Hagar, headlining over Scorpions, Metallica, and Kingdom Come. However, it wasn't RATT on that tour. It was Dokken. What were your thoughts when Van Halen selected Dokken for the Monsters bill? Pearcy said, there was a method to their madness. Before Sammy, David Lee Roth was truly running the show. So it's intriguing. I'm not sure. Maybe they didn't want any band to pose as competition, but there was no competition. RATT wasn't a competition with anyone. We didn't view Motley or any of those bands like Armored Saint or Wasp as rivals. We're still friends to this day. There was no rivalry. Well, anyway, all right. Stephen Pearcy really seems like a cool dude. I've seen interviews with him. Seems like, he just seems cool. But, this whole, Vangina didn't want no competition. Vangina took out the Scorpions and Metallica to open. That's not competition. I mean, I was at that show at the Orange Bowl, and the Scorpions and Metallica destroyed Vangina. Dokken was not having a good day. They looked like they didn't want to be there, and it was such a forgettable show, but it couldn't have been worse than Vangina. Vangina was terrible, and so is Kingdom Come. It's kind of ridiculous for him to think they didn't want RATT. They'd rather have Dokken. Now, I will say, RATT, as terrible as they were when I saw them in the 80s, would have been better than how Dokken played that night. Now, I also want to say, the very first time I saw RATT was on the Out of the Cellar tour opening for Billy Squier, and they were absolutely amazing that night. So amazing, they blew Billy Squier off the stage. They were on fire, the album was taking off, and it was just a smoking show. But then I went to go see him every time after that. It was horrible in the 80s. Invasion Your Privacy. I couldn't make out what the hell was going on stage. The sound was so bad, and I'm talking about hundreds of people were leaving during the show because the sound was so bad. All right. I forgave him. I went back to see him again on Dancing Undercover. Same thing. Horrible sound. People leaving. It was terrible. And they came back to Florida on the same tour in West Palm Beach. And I even went to that. And it was the same thing. Horrible sound. People leaving. I was like, okay, this can't be just isolated incidents down here. I mean, they must be torn with this horrible sound. And yes, I have brought this up online before, and there's a ton of people telling me, yup, same thing happened when I saw them in, St. Louis or wherever. Yeah, the sound was terrible, and we left. Now, after that Dance Undercover show, I stopped. They came down a couple more times in the 80s. I was like, no, that's it. I'm not going. Who knows? Maybe they sounded good that night. I don't know, because I didn't go. But I did see RATT on the first reunion in the 90s. I think it was like 97. They played this club, Button South, and they were awesome. They sounded great that night. And they sounded great every time I've seen them after that night. A really good show they played was with Jizzy Pearl. And John Corabi was on rhythm guitar. You know, and it was Robbie Crane on bass, Warren DeMartini on guitar, and Bobby Blotzer. And that was an awesome, fun show. You know, even without, you know, Steven and Juan. And, of course, the King, Robin Crosby, which, you know, Steven has said it, and I'll repeat what Steven said. It's not RATT without the King. And that goes out to about 99.9% of the groups out there. They're not the same. They weren't the classic lineup. There's somebody missing, or in some cases, there's only one original band member left. It's just not the same. You know, it's, to me, man, just about every band I love, it's that original lineup. And you're never going to have that with RATT again, because the King is gone, King Crosby. But yeah, him thinking RATT would have been fine on the bill, I don't know about that. Yeah, I would say it would have been better than Dokken, because at least they'd get up there and act like they cared. Dokken didn't care. I don't remember their sound being bad, but they just didn't care, and they gave a half-ass performance. So, yeah, I would rather see RATT be a little energized with some crappy sound than what I saw that day with Dokken. It was just sad. But I can think of so many other bands that would have been better than RATT and Dokken that day. Like, Accept, Ozzy, Riot, oh man, I mean, Wasp. You know, there could have been so many other killer bands that would have been, and yeah, take damn Kingdom Come off, man, they were so bad. See, that day I went to that show super early and got all the way up front, you know, because I'd never seen Metallica. Metallica never played Florida, South Florida with Cliff Burton, so I never got to see him. This is my first chance to see Metallica. I was a super freak. I'm still a super freak Metallica fan from the music they did back then, from the Garage Days down. You know, I love those first three albums and what they did on Garage Days, so I was so psyched to see Metallica that day. And I'm a Dokken fan. After Metallica played, I stayed up there for Dokken because, yeah, let's see some Dokken, and they were so disappointing. It really was like, man, it's like they were just screaming, hey, everybody, we're breaking up after this tour. You know, it just, they were not happy up on that stage. It was horrible. Scorpions, always awesome. Always killer. And I stayed all the way up there for the Scorpions, man. But after the Scorpions, since I went to the show with a friend in his car, and he wanted to see Vangina, I went to the very top of Orange Bowl, because I didn't want to see Vangina. And, you know, I did see him from up there, and it was horrible. And playing Running with the Devil was just cringeworthy. And, but, you know, Eddie Van Halen's my all-time favorite guitar player, so I wanted to stay to see at least Eruption, you know? And I did. I saw him do his guitar solo, and that wasn't even that good. And probably the worst time I ever seen Eddie Van Halen do a guitar solo, because the guy was always, always killer. My favorite guitar player of all time. But after that guitar solo, I left. And I went to the car and I just waited for him to come out after they played a few songs and encores and stuff. It was horrible. The best band I thought was Metallica, and the Scorpions were awesome, but I can care less about the other three bands. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching the only news that matters. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And ring that little notification bell and like the video. And also leave comments down, because if you like the video and you leave comments below, it's good for the YouTube algorithms. And plus, I love reading what you guys have to say. Thank you again for watching. Stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath. And smack 'em a gob.
Adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.